My name is Micaiah Stevens. Welcome to Hamlet Development Log number 23. This is kind of in development. We're kind of showcasing some of this. I guess I have a lot of reminders in this power slide now. One is start from slide, Shift F5. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. Anyways, we're just kind of talking about the bugs, and content may not come out. But anyway, so we don't have a game demo, so we'll just move on. Yeah, so this is kind of just our announcement page. I guess we kind of just going to skip past this. A lot of this is sort of thinking about the future and what we want to do. Some of this is in place, some of it's sort of thinking about it. And like Patreon, for instance, it's one of those things. Like I see a lot of patrons that put out there, and then they don't have content. So it's like that to me is like not really a good good form of patron. It seems like it's sort of should be a contractual obligation to say, hey, I promise to put out these updates or these videos or whatever, this content, and some people are just like take the money and don't do anything. So yeah, I just kind of it's kind of a little bit different than putting on a game and then sort of having trouble to put it out there, especially in development process. You get to see a lot of internal work about whether or not something's working out, or it's motivated to do stuff. Yeah, so we're kind of still on the 0.10 of the live branch, 0.18.2 of the beta branch. It was about a month and a half ago maybe, and we're still working on the 19 alpha branch. Not sure what that's going to include. We have a couple different ideas, but anyways, the main I wanted to focus on this on June 20th or June. Sorry. So I can't talk. On June 17th, we put out log 21. It was kind of the last official log, I think. And then we kind of wanted to do an update on July 15th, so about a month later. 22nd was just kind of letting you know, hey, we're hoping to get more, but we kind of took almost 2-3 weeks off. We only intended to take about a week off, and then it sort of expanded onto there, and then we had a computer failure on July 30th or July, it was about July 24th or something. It was on a Friday. I don't remember exactly the date, but then it took almost a week to get the chip. Took several days to sort of think about what we wanted to do, and then anyway, so we promised the update. We're a little bit late, so this is the update for the August 4th, and we're just going to put it up on YouTube. Yeah, so I guess pretty much we kind of posted a little discussion. We kind of like to do discussion, just kind of a channel update. It's a great way to keep up with what's happening. There's a little under my Haven Studios, or on my Micaiah Stevens. Let's see. We have this pulled up here. So under the Micaiah Stevens, yay, we have 10 subscribers. We have this discussion where we just talked about this new update 7 minutes ago. So recording this short update now. It's a series of good and bad news. Long and short, no new update. But the good news is programming is really my life now, so soon will be something more to share. So, but we also did an upload. It was a couple hours. It was actually part of this ecosystem from Sebastian. Yeah, Sebastian Lague. Over here, the video response more for the ecosystem. He's got a version 2 of the ecosystem he's working on, which is just really cool. Which is kind of one of the. I was really hoping that his land would be a lot more in line with what I was thinking about, but it seems like he's using mesh deforms and vertex meshing. Changing the vertex to set up a mesh, which is really cool, and it's very optimal, but it gets a little bit harder to work with. So we might, yeah. So so we liked really where he's going with it, and you can see the trees and the land and sand and water and a lot of really cool things with it, which we're going with. But he's got a much larger world. But then it's I guess we could sort of get it. With his land generation, get it more of an island, which is kind of what we're hoping for, kind of a smaller, bigger island. But anyway, so we did a couple hours of this. This is kind of what I've sort of lost the love of programming, because I think I've just been focused on, like, I have a lot of projects in works. I have the sci-fi. I have a side scroller. Well, it's actually a Terraria clone. which is kind of a future idea here. And I also have this kind of overhead Zelda-like idea of, instead of, I've actually thought about that a lot in making Hamlet. Let's see, where was a good example of this is like right here is sort of, if you put this as an overhead view where the camera's looking straight down, you can sort of get the same effect. But we're sort of developing this thing as a 3D environment as well, and I think we've got the majority of all the problems solved in the 3D environment. We still want to add in a much more, I think we have a robust pathfinding system, but it's like in developing it sort of gets this idea of when you're moving per tile as what we're trying to accomplish here, it gets it's if it's in 2D or 3D, it doesn't really matter. It's just the movement is the same. Whether or not it takes half a second to move from one tile to the next, which is, we're still kind of really unsure about that. But anyways, the point being is that the 3D environment's already set up. So a 2D overhead game, and then too, it's like we don't have the characters in the inventory as just separate objects that we could just and that's one thing we've been really struggling with this game engine. The Hamlet or the Haven game engine, as we're kind of calling it, is like we don't separate out. There's not a good way to separate out the logic into different components. There's a lot of things to do, but it sort of gives in development for us. So anyway, so we've been thinking about that a lot. So we're just kind of stuck with the 2D, or stuck, but or I think more of the happy with where the 3D is going, because it's really a good fit for, and a lot of the 2D art is sort of doesn't never looks really as good, and you get this kind of really cool 3D look that we already have. So we've accomplished pretty much everything we need. It's just a matter of building up the world, which is kind of what the Sebastian is talking about, building up the world so it's bigger than this chunk. But then also too, it's like we're talking about this micro environment where like the chunk is good because it gives you a gameplay that you're limited to such a small area, but that's kind of what the design goal was of this project, was that you're limited to this area and you have to expand out. And that's kind of like where the campaign was going, or sort of the campaign, or well, I guess it's called the campaign, or the adventure. No, not the adventure, but the campaign, I guess, is this set environment where you're restricted to this idea of this is you get one chunk, and then the idea was you get the 16 by 16, and then you get a 3 times that area to work with to build something bigger, and then that would open up into this larger sort of final piece. Which you've actually been talking about, this Zug Zug art pack for $30. There's a lot of problems with it, but I think it also helps us, gives us a really good, sort of ending point, and we really like that. And maybe we can't solve some of can't solve the tiled movement up here. I mean, well, we haven't. We need to work on it, and then and we also want to put in a dungeon here as well, sort of the cave entrance is sort of planned to be here, or maybe we'll maybe expand it over here or something. But anyways, this gives us a lot of room for buildings, for workshops, for NPCs. Gives us that town level of that roguelike, and I think that's really awesome. And yeah, so and we have a lot of gameplay elements, tied with that, where the different things. Well, it's not that bad, but or not that, to talk about, but it's like we don't want to spoil a lot of, or and two, we're not sure, especially not sure exactly what we're going to accomplish. We have basically we're thinking about that you're restricted to this town area. And also the fog is actually really nice as well. And I like the trouble for fog for me is like there's a certain distance you have to have, which seems to be about here, where it's like you can see into the distance where you see trees and like imagine this huge mountains or this environment around you, but really it's sort of you're limited to that, a 20 by 20 chunk, which is the full area, or 21 by 21 or something like that. So anyway, so that's kind of the idea. Anyway, so we're talking about a little bit about channel sort of update as well, I guess. we were talking about we're gonna. This is here's 21 about a month ago, and then 22. We're pretty good up to this point. Then we kind of took a big break. We were talking about doing monthly updates. We'll have to see. I think at this point, I'm going to say the next update is going to be, let's say August, or that would be September. Yeah, September 2nd. Let's shoot for September 2nd. But I'm thinking I will have an update within these on Monday. But okay. So what the plan right now is that kind of programming is my life. I really want to change jobs or do something or get kind of get out of the office job a little bit, but it's like it just doesn't seem feasible in today's world. With my eyesight, with sort of where the world's going. So the idea is that I love programming, I love game development. I have apps and different things I'm working on. So it's like those. And I haven't really put a lot of work into Project Caprica, partly because Quill sort of stopped with his project, or no, he calls it Project Caprica. I call it Project Canada now. But anyways, it's the sci-fi, because that's sort of it. Like I don't know, it was 4, 5, 6 months ago. I was just trying to decide what game genre to work on as my full-time game, and it was RPG and sci-fi. And I still have that love for sci-fi. In fact, I'm watching Fringe, watching Fringe for dinner. I usually try to watch one episode for dinner or breakfast or whatever. Anyway, so I'm rewatching Fringe, and it's just such an amazing sci-fi. Not sure I'm a big fan of the horror, but I love the sci-fi, science fiction of the whole thing. Anyway, so we'll put out a Hamlet update sometime on Monday. I'm pretty sure I'll get back to, once I get sort of motivated to work on this again and sort of get things into a better state. I think, it's actually going to be in, a couple more months or, a couple more really good dev time. Then it will just be building the content, and that will be all the little tiny pieces, all the save systems and every little, that could be a slug to work through, but hopefully, but as that comes together and more, and two, it's like, it's fun to go through and play the game. I have a list of things like, why is the menu, why do you click on this menu button and the whole menu goes away, or what, why should the menu net go away? And it's little different quirks in the game that I'd like to clean up, and, so it's going to be a lot of that eventually, once I figured out the land. Which is kind of where this sort of comes into play a little bit. This one right here, where it's like the terrain is here, and then we put the 2D grid on top of that. That's a 2D, but it's a 3D. It's the roguelike grid, the tile grid on top of this, and then we can move around in this area, and then add in the dungeons, which is pretty much everything set. So it's just tying that together. So, but then the channel. We've been talking about this. We have this Terraria programming tutorial that we've been thinking about. We have this little Terraria game we've been putting together. Terraria. We also have been playing some SteamWorld Dig 2 on the Xbox PC beta. It's a pretty cool Xbox. You can play Xbox, on your PC, which is kind of like, why wouldn't you? But anyways, it's a branded like a Steam. But so SteamWorld Dig's kind of like that as well, where you sort of dig down and sort of correct resources, upgrades. We have this whole kind of programming thing that we thought would be really fun to showcase and do. That's kind of also the other thing we talked about is sort of setting up a game playing games channel. I don't think we just play enough games. It's honestly the sad fact right now is we just don't play games at all. I mean, we could do the SteamWorld Dig maybe, but it was a lot of work to record all the episodes and sort of upload them, and it was taking 3 hours an episode, or an hour, 2 or 3 hours an episode, and it was just like, I mean, it's pretty easy to record them all, but then you have to kind of put them together, and then it was originally it was taking like 5 hours, and I cut it down to like a couple hours, but you still it just takes a lot of work. Even this short video, which is probably going to be 30 minutes by the time I'm done talking, it takes 15-20 minutes to edit. I'm getting faster and better and quicker and sort of coming up with things, like doing the thumbnails now. I'm doing the thumbnails. Man, I guess I don't want to go through all that. Anyway, so yeah, so we talked about that. But I think the core is kind of not. I sort of need to put a lot of time into Hamlet and make that the main focus. And it's not. I like to, but it's hard to sort of get down to one core project and work on nothing but that. That to me is just it doesn't you know. But it's sort of what you kind of have to do, I think. But then also too, it's like I feel like I make more progress. Like I was working on this one app for years, and it's like I was not making very much progress. And then I started working on a game for the game development for 6 months, 9 months, and I came back to that other app and I solved 6 or 8 problems because in the course of building other things, and it's like that to me is like awesome. Like the inventory of the Terraria clone and the crafting system is really cool, and it's new, and it's like, oh wow, that's it solves a couple problems, and it's like, hey, can I do it this way instead of the crafting system I sort of have in Hamlet right now? So it's like, do I want to use, it gives me a couple different options instead of just focusing on one system that's not working. Anyway, so that's kind of this general gist. I don't really know exactly when the Terraria clone. Um, I started recording a couple episodes and tried to, so we'll have to see how that goes. But and then also too, it'd be fun to get back to the game. I think we talked enough about the game design that I'm sort of burnt out on topics, and I need to catch up to including. We started including the inventory and the weight system, and talked about some of the character design as well, which we also need to start thinking about is adding in a character. I think part of that is waiting on the characters themselves. Is we only have the one character, so we don't have a lot of design aspect to it. So that's going to be a huge. I think the environment is our next big piece this month, or it might be pushed out to next month, depending if I can. I need to buy a suit, so it's like there's all my money gone. But so next month we'll pick up the environment, and then like in October we can pick up the character. So I think by the end of this year we'll have a more complete, robust game together. Then hopefully we'll change some shaders and some colors and really make it this environment our own. Anyway, so that's pretty much the update. It's I sort of not promising that this is what the plan is. I still, really unsure. I really would love to just put this game out there to sort of finish it, and then sort of, give that the larger castles and larger world a sort of a back seat to some more game development and see if I can, improve. I mean, I think that's sort of it. Partly, I've hit my sort of peak of what I know right now, so it's like I need to improve, and I'm not sure how to do that. And or maybe making some more, instead of doing tile based, go more mesh based, which is what Sebastian's doing, and that would make the world bigger, and that would give us more. Because to me, it's like his world's flat as well, so it's like I don't mind a flat world because I'm not interested in a massive game, or I'm not interested in a massive world gen. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I have different ideas for it. But I'm more interested in characters and towns and sort of the the RPG elements instead of the world elements. And I think people would be okay with a just kind of a flat, world with some mountains and sort of, we don't need the crevices and valleys and it's like you're in the valley, but it's like you're in this really flat valley that goes for miles, and you got mountains on the side, but and eventually you'll get to the mountains. But anyway, so that's a pretty good update. Hopefully, it's just sort of kind of reaffirming to me like this is definitely programming. I love writing as well. So but I haven't really written. It's hard to write a. Anyways, I'm getting distracted, but yeah, so it's definitely one of those things. So I think I'll get back to this pretty soon. I think we're going to start this week, or well, there's a couple things I need to do, but it's definitely, it feels like this is kind of where I really need to go and finish this, or see where I can take this in the next few weeks and see if I can progress this. So, anyways, my name is Micaiah Stevens. for Haven Studios. We're working on a game for Hamlet. It's available on Steam. Uh, I don't know. I just, the only thing there's a free demo as well. It's $9.99. I would just add it to your wish list and sort of, not take it off your wish list and sort of see where it's going to go. I appreciate the quite a few people that have bought the game already, so I want to finish it for them. But it's definitely one of those, And I've always intended, people. I think that's people are like, oh, he's just trying to make a couple bucks. And it's like, no, I really truly want to make games and really truly want to, do game development. It's my dream job from when I was a kid, and it's kind of difficult to break into, especially by yourself. So, and there's a lot of tutorials and a lot of programming, and a lot of game. It's getting much more open. But then you get to see the underbelly of sort of the motivation and trying to get stuff done, and it's like, and I'm not, it's like, it's definitely not for the money, because it's sort of a passion project for love. And I think that to me is worth far more than anything else. And and that's the thing too. It's like, because of the game development, I really honestly don't have a choice. There's so few games out there. I was playing another game that's very similar to this one. I guess I mention games all the time. So it's My Time in Portia, which is like an amazing game. That's like, you have a house, you have a world you can explore, you have resources you collect, but the UI and the colorization of the game is so bad. I don't understand what they were even thinking. Like, even if you had normal eyes, why would you want to see this whited out? It's like such a bright, even cranking down the brightness, the game becomes a little bit better, but then some of the land, like, blacks out and you can't see anything. So it's like, why would you, have this fluorescent game? And a lot of games are like that. It's like, why have such weird colors? And anyway, so it's like, to me, it's like, I love the game, but I can't play it. So it's like, to me, that's sort of it. It's like Hamlet and sort of the games that I'm making are because Terraria is actually a fun game and I enjoy it, but there's a few aspects but I've actually gone through and beat the whole first world and gone through most of the second world, the hardcore worlds, or whatever you want to call it. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so that game's really awesome, but they could improve the UI a little bit, or improve the UI massively, I should say. The crafting menu is like, at the end world is where you get 10,000 different items you never know, and then your inventory as well is like, you have no idea. You get all these dumb items and you have to put random items. It's like you have to pretty much go find a... Anyways, the point being is the fact that it's sort of I keep coming back to this, is whether or not Hamlet's going to come out in 2020. I mean, I'm pretty sure it will come out in 2020, but, because, it could be 21, 22. It's gonna come out because I really don't have a choice. I mean, that's sort of why I'm doing this, is because I don't I can't do anything else. It's like with my apps, there are lots of apps out there, but my apps for me and the people that enjoy it, they don't get a choice. And so it's like I love games, but I can't play them anymore. So I have to sort of develop, and it's like. Because I'm blind, because I have color blindness and all sorts of problems, it's like I have to overcome those with coming out. Why is white text on black? Look at my colorization. This is a little whited out, as it's a little too bright. So this will definitely not. You can sort of see here's my colorization schemes where I definitely don't like the black on black here, but and some of the but those are sort of the art style. I definitely like the black edging here as well. It's kind of a cel-shaded look, but it's more of that darker tones. And you can see some of these houses they're so bright like this. I don't know what the overlay of this is. Maybe it's just the fog or the lighting. But we'll see. It'll definitely this scene will be completely different by the time I'm finished with that. So anyway, so that's the goal. So hopefully everybody enjoys that. Where are we at in video? 45 minutes for a 5-second update. Yeah, 30, 28, 25 minutes. So, anyway, so we'll have a much bigger programming update, hopefully a game update. I want to get a game update because I want to post a Steam news, but I don't want to post them all too often. So, there's a discussion board on Steam. There's the YouTube discussion and this YouTube channel. So, hopefully that gives you a quick update, where things are going, and as things go on, when Sebastian comes out with his finalization of his ecosystem 2. It'll be awesome. Which is not just, oh, I'm copying Sebastian. Sebastian and Quill and Board to Bits all have this sort of forest system, and I've been developing my own and sort of my own take on that as well. So, so the forest will be a lot more live in my game is the hope. Um, and how to get all that on the screen at once is going to be the challenge, but that's where I'm hoping to go with this. Anyway, so thanks all. I'll see everybody next time. You take care.